Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today we're going to be talking about Phenax, one of the allied color gods from the Theros block. I think I actually have all 15 of them built, but we're going to start with this one just because it's the one I most recently played. Me and my boys were playing, and we all wanted to have a god deck battle royale, and Phenax was actually the one that won that game. So, anyway, uh, Phenax is kind of what I feel one of the underappreciated gods. He gives your creatures tap to mill to their toughness. So what I did, my thought went to high toughness, low mana creatures, which is mostly walls. Now we have a few that are just straight mill creatures, but we have walls, because wall of junk, it's a 0/7 for 2 mana. Walls serve many purposes here. One, it helps block creatures. Obviously, Phenax takes a long time to get online. You don't really honestly care about him being a creature. Yeah, he mills that extra 7. That's cool and all, but the wall of junk, being able to, at the end of your opponent's turn, after you've used all your opponent's turns for it to be a blocker, you can tap to mill 7. FYI, I know that Intruder Alarm would be absolutely ridiculous in this deck, but I don't have one. If you've got one, run it, because it allows you to tap your wall to make them mill, play another wall, untap them. It's Intruder Alarm is sick, but it's one of those cards that I just don't have. Here again, high toughness, low mana creatures is what I did, and walls perfectly fit that scenario. We have a lot of 7s here. Whoa, I'm too close. It's walls that regenerate, things that are actually, like the Dancing Scimitar is not a wall, but let's face it, it's a 1/5 flyer. So it's essentially a wall. You're not winning games, beating face with it. The 0/6 walls. Now, Junk Troller is actually a wall with a purpose. He's good. You can either mill the 6 with him, or you can get back a card, kinda. It goes to the bottom of your deck, but hey. Brian's favorite wall right here. I love this wall. I have been playing with this since crazy. Of course, I am an Enduring Renewal fan, but that's a different story. I love me some Shield Sphere. I have played with it since the day Alliances came out, but 0 mana for 0/6. Wow, because I'm looking at this says tap mill 6. Hover Barrier has flying, Guardian of Meletus. A lot of these are just plain, like the Dreamstalker here. Not necessarily a wall, but it's still 2 mana for 5 toughness. Wall of Air, of course, flying. People play with flying creatures. Pearl Black, that's actually a thing. Black's a popular color. That's right. He's not. I mean, you might have a wall or 2 artifact wall that he pumps, but let's face it, he's more of just a 2 mana 0/5. That's what he is. I want to talk about this guy, and I want to talk about a guy like him that's not here. Another card that I do not have is that Eldritch Moon Mythic. That's the 0/13 you switch your life with. Crazy. That is the best card for this deck ever, because you just simply trade it, or you can mill 13 with it. That's fine. Or Or you just switch it with your life, which is probably 30 something, and then start milling them for 30 once you've got your wall defense up. But I don't want to take away from this card. It's still good. Still 3 mana, 5 toughness. Now, these I had to actually, if you'll look at these two, they are practically the same card. Here, let's put one in front of Phenax. Yeah. 0/6, 4 mana. 3 mana gives it +3/-1. They did it in the Ice Age and they did it in Urza Saga. I guess they just wanted 2 copies of it instead of just making a reprint. I don't know. But glad they did, because for this deck, it works pretty well. Now, I saved this wall to last because, as we all know, that's a tutor. That's a tutor if we've ever seen one. Focus. The ability to transmute there. Transmute's an old ability. I think it only appeared in that one block. But it essentially every card with the transmute ability is a tutor. Just to call it what it is, it's a tutor. It's another tutor that we have at our disposal. Trying to find the right positioning. I had it, but I've been moving stuff around. Anyway, so let's get to what I call the straight mill. The straight mill cards are just cards that do one thing and one thing only. They go in your mill deck, and that's what they do. We got ourselves a Hedron Crab. Now, yeah, he's 0/2, and you can tap him to mill 2. That's fine, but landfall being mill 3, that's pretty good. Especially, this is what the pie in the sky you want your turn 1 to be. Of course, we have Jace's Archivist, because that ability on a stick is awesome. Ambassador Loquacious. Now, this guy, I milled for 12 with this guy. He is awesome, because he taps to mill 3, and then you get the mana, and it's good. It's good. I like him. He's a really good ambassador. Consuming Aberration. Now, some cards just naturally go hand in hand with milling. This has nothing per se to do with milling, but it has power and toughness each equal the number of all cards in your opponent's yard. If you're doing your deck right, this thing's going to be huge. If you're getting any kind of mana whatsoever, because most of your deck is dedicated to just milling them out. And whenever you cast a spell, each opponent mills till they hit a land. I love this guy. He's a big guy. He feeds himself. It's awesome. Mirko. We gotta love us some Mirko. He, what is that? What is the card? The spell version of him? He's Mind Funeral, I think. He hits and he Mind Funerals. They mill till they hit 4 lands. And he's a 2/4, so he can, Silent Arbiter is going to protect you as well if they have. And here again, 5 toughness, 4 cost, and he limits combat, so he limits the alpha swing. Now, this isn't quite as valuable to some of the Voltron decks of whatever, but we have Lord of the Void. Now, this guy, I thought it was good, and I just stopped reading. And when I swung with him and hit, I read him again, and you get one of those cards, man. That's awesome. You exile 7, which is more times than not definitively better than milling them, and then you get one of them if it's a creature. Seizdak here. Of course, the more he hits, the bigger he gets, and then he gets counters, and then he mills more, and he's another good example of a creature that feeds themselves. Now, I do apologize for my nemesis of reason to being non-English, but it's the one I have. I bought a box of non-English Alara Reborn and got this. Anyway, what Nemesis of Reason does is he's a 3/7, which really works for our plan here because he taps to mill 7. Oh, well, you may not want to tap him because when he attacks, defending player mills 10. So that's really, really neat. Now we have Sire of Stagnation, which is kind of a reverse landfall. Because whenever an opponent puts a land, they exile the top 2. And you draw 2. Really, really good. Especially for those Azusa, Min and Den type decks. And I'm not going to lie, I've got Inkwell Leviathan in here just because he is a beast. I mean, well, technically a Leviathan, but, you know, Island Walk, Trample, Shroud, there's not a lot blocking this guy. There's not a lot doing anything with him. He's got an 11 toughness if somebody's got a, you know, a cane attack thing going on, so you can mill him for 11. He's big, and he's just a good utility creature. Now, we also got the Mind Leech Mass. And its text box, regardless to the 6 lines that are on there, it says, when Mind Leech Mass deals combat damage to Brian, he concedes. I'm telling you, this is sick, sick, sick. I love it. Now, that straight mill I was talking about, we can't do it without Sphinx's tutelage, just because. They gave us this card in Origins, and it seems like a shame not to play an awesome removal spell. Well, I mean, deck removal for this. Of course, we got the Mind Grind. I love each opponent, it says. And I think a lot of time, this is your late game, I just win spell. You know, you've had games go long, and then there's that one person has that sick rip, and you just, well, I play this card, and if it's not countered, I win. More times than not, it's Mind Grind. Of course, we have our Traumatize. Here again, a milling staple. We got to have the Traumatize. Top half seems pretty good. There's the Mind Funeral. Middle of the hit 4 lands. We got a pair of Jaces here, of course. We got the draw 20 and then the mill 20. That's their purpose. Now, Mind Crank and Opponent. Really like that. Really like that. Because it's in addition. It's not a replacement effect because it doesn't use the word instead. They lose the life and they mill the cards. So, Keening Stone. To be honest with you, Keening Stone, I don't... it seems like I don't cast it. It's in the deck, but this is a probably a placeholder for one of the 2 cards I was mentioning, that Black Tree or the Blue Enchantment. But it's decent. They mill X, where X is the number in their graveyard. X is the number of cards in that player's graveyard. So, yeah, I guess I can see this with a Traumatize and this being an instant shutout for one person, but it's never happened to me. Now, Increasing Confusion, of course, I love all of those increasing cards from Dark Ascension. They were really good. Mill X or Mill Double X. Here's another one that is more or less a placeholder. I don't really draw a whole heck of a lot of cards beyond my 1 per turn or beyond what my opponents tell me to draw with Howling Mind effects. I think we have 1 Howling Mind, but that's it. Now, Cypher. The Cypher ability was an ability that I just, I think I don't know, Wizards. I think they could have done a little better with that guild mechanic. But I like it. There's not a lot of cards with it. And I like the fact that you can, essentially equip it or attach it to a dude, and it adds that text to their text box. So that's cool. Force Fruition. Now, giving your opponent a bunch of cards can be possibly dangerous. But more times than not, Force Fruition is drinking from the fire hose. They cannot handle it. It don't take 2-3 spells in order for them to start getting very scared about their library status. We've all probably been underneath the Force Fruition, and it's a real scary possibility. Now, card extraction. I don't run a lot of it, but the two I do run are the big ones. Because Sadistic Sacrament is a 10 mana sorcery. Ignore what it says up there. It's 10 mana. You don't cast it for 3. You cast it for 10. You want 15 cards. And a lot of times what I use this for is not your primary target. When you sit down with a mill deck in EDH, you're sitting at a table just about always of aggro players who are playing big dudes, a whole bunch of dudes, a Voltron dude. I mean, you've got, we're not winning with general damage here, people. I mean, it's just not happening. And you've got that guy that you identify early on as the one that has to go first. The one is the biggest threat to your milling people out. Well, that's the guy you're going to go just all out for. But what I use the Sadistic Sacrament and the Denying Wind for is the guy that is not really posing a threat, but that could pose a threat to you. To pretty much neuter that deck, get it out of the way, to be it you're getting rid of combo pieces or removal or whatever. 9 or 15 cards that can substantially hurt their game plan. If you don't think these cards are powerful, look at any EDH deck you've got, and could you go through and pick out the 9 best cards and still have a deck without them? You could, but it would be way harder. Of course, then we got removal. It's pretty much it's not a whole big package of removal because we're going to have a lot of dudes. Now, granted, they're walls. I like Plague Wind. I like Black Sun. I tend to crutch heavy on Black Sun because Indestructible is a thing. Now they're making it's kind of replacing regeneration. So you've got all these 1-drop, 2-drop instants that suddenly make things indestructible that, in my opinion, shouldn't be. Every color's got them now, but that's why I love the Black Sun, and I think as long as they throw around that indestructible word, Black Sun is going to get played more and more. I know it will by me. Then, of course, we have the bounce effect here. Evacuation and Devastation Tide. They essentially do the same thing, but, of course, Devastation miracles out. Now, some cards that, speaking of Unrest, wow. I'm just dropping stuff left and right. Is there a better card for a mill deck? I mean, this is awesome. Because you're essentially, this is a 5-mana tutor, whatever they've got in their yard, into play. And I say tutor because, here again, if you're going after this, you've got a good choice to choose from Beacon of Unrest. Yeah, there's a lot of cards out there like this. We could have gone really deep into this mechanic. I chose this one, obviously, because it shuffles back in. Even if you only draw it one more time, that's still 2 uses. That's more than you normally get. So we got the tutor package. Now, here again, these are not the money tutors. This is just average tutors, but we all know what Diabolic Tutor is. But this, I love the Mystical Tutor. Searches for an instant, and then it has flashback. So this is outstanding. It's one of those cards that you flash it back at somebody's EOT. Now, importantly, Bojuka Bog is too powerful in this deck. I'm not going to go through all the non-basic lands because it's pretty much the collection of blue-black duels. Now, I do run all of the bounce lands I can conceivably run with Bojuka Bog. If I'm running a Bojuka Bog or black in any other color, I'm running Bojuka Bog and whatever bounce land that I can, because in EDH we don't have the restrictions that normal 60 card Magic does. We have the graveyard is just another resource because our card pool is so large, and a lot of people use their graveyard as an extended hand. So, and in this deck, you could conceivably be helping a player out by milling them. And milling, my thoughts about milling are, if you're going to do it, you have to go all the way. If you're going to make a person mill one card, then you have to be willing to commit to making them mill their library. If not, you have wasted every turn that you milled them. You have wasted that tempo. You have wasted that mana. Because if you don't go all the way, if you don't mill them out, or at least make it a probable win condition, then you've just wasted your time. That's why I'm not a big fan of just random mill in any other deck. If you're going to have mill, be about it. Turmoil's Crypt also does the same thing. Sack to exile a yard. That seems pretty good. We got some artifacts, obviously. We got to have those, because here again, I'm me, and I use the heck out of these cards. Howling Mine, I told y'all that the Howling Mine was in there, and that's our only extra card effect. Now, the Bone Horde. Number of creature cards in all graveyards. There are a lot of our mill cards in this deck do it for each opponent or all players. And equipping the Bone Horde to Phenax, this could actually be a viable general win condition. You could attack with Phenax. You get enough walls out there, turns him into a dude, and you can actually, or my favorite thing is he has a 7 toughness. You put this on there, and you insta-mill out one person. However, people die. The graveyard count goes down because their graveyard leaves the game. Anyway, normally, that's what I'll do is I'll Bone Horde, equip, mill out the biggest threat. Then, of course, we have the non-basic lands. I told you all about those. I mean, got my, Terramorphic Expanse, Evolving Wilds, Reliquary Tower. Just all kinds of good stuff. Rogue's Passage. By the way, if I haven't talked about Rogue's Passage yet, in a general EDH sense, Rogue's Passage, I dare say, should be in most EDH decks. It is the ability to make your commander unblockable. All it costs you is a colorless slot in your mana base. If you're running 1, 2, I say maybe probably even 3 colors, because the amount of mana fixing that we have access to, getting the right colors is generally not an issue. We don't have the burden that 60 has. So taking up we're already taking up a slot with Reliquary Tower, but the ability to win, Rogue's Passage is an instant win with a lot of commanders. A whole lot. And I have won and I have lost many games because of this card. Rogue's Passage is, I think, it's one of those cards that every deck should think about running. Well, that is what I have for Phenax this morning. I'm glad you watched. I appreciate it. Let me know if there's anything you're looking to see in the comments below. Phenax, God of I'm going to mill my opponents to death. I love it, love it, love it. He is... the only problem with Phenax is There's no secret here. When you sit down with him, people know what's coming. Yes, there are ways to fight the Eldrazi, the Gaia's Blessing and stuff, but that's why, we have the the card selection that we do. But as I said, glad you watched. I appreciate it. Y'all let me know. But once again, it is time for a shuffle and a cut.